What's up, you guys? It is Bob, and it's looking like we might have another stimulus package on the way that would be worth $2,000 a month for every individual in America that falls into the qualifying metrics, which is looking like everybody essentially will meet this one. Now, I have compiled a whole lot of information on this and started connecting a whole lot of dots and making sure that the sources that I got this from are credible and I'm not just regurgitating other YouTube channels. So I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button if you find this useful and different and not just another version of another thing. So all right, let's get into it. So who actually qualifies for this thing? Again, kind of like the CARES Act, a lot of the people are barred by how much income they make, but this one is nearly double the $75,000. This one is $130,000. Meaning, if you make less than $130,000, you probably qualify for this new act if it gets passed, because it's in Congress right now. And if that gets passed in Congress, then we go Senate, and then Trump would have to sign it. Additionally, people 16 and up would be getting this $2,000 a month check. So 16-year-olds, whew, you might be making a whole lot of money. The other thing is college students. If you're claimed as like a dependent or something, you actually will still get this $2,000 a month, which was a big deal because in the CARES Act, you weren't. You were just getting straight, boop, you aren't getting anything. Enjoy your rice-a-roni. But in this time, you actually qualify. And if you're a disabled adult who is also seen as a dependent on someone else's taxes, you would still qualify for this. And the person claiming you as the dependent would actually be the one receiving the $2,000. But how are people actually going to receive this money? This one is actually trying to get way more modern with how the money is getting sent out. In the last one, it was all direct deposit or it was paper checks. But in this one, they're really trying to push having it with Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, and prepaid debit cards on top of the direct deposit. Which, you know, it kind of rhymes with the same idea of like the American government essentially trying to take infrastructure of large companies that the government does not have and essentially use it. And I'm sure that these companies really enjoy having money just flow through their apps, while at the same time looking like a hero to the government and to, well, you. Which should really help increase the chances of this thing actually working when rubber meets the road. And another thing that really does work every time you click it is that like button. It really does help me. And another thing that'll help you out with this bill is the fact that the $2,000 a month does not count towards your taxes. So don't worry, it's really just $2,000 a month. And should it be enacted, it will come into effect 14 days after it gets signed. So we're going to have a 2-week waiting period after it goes through the Congress, the Senate, and Trump. So I'm thinking this doesn't get signed at least until mid-June, and then another 2 weeks. So if you look at how this is shaping up and what's going on, this is basically being done to replace the $600 a month, which would be drying up in late July. So if you look at the timing, this would be the replacement. And another thing about the timing of this bill, and the timing of this bill, I think is telling on so many levels of unemployment, where the market's going, how the coronavirus is actually affecting us. Because here's the thing, today, we just had another 5.25 million people file for unemployment as of today, okay? Additionally, here's the other thing. 6 states, including big ones like California, New York, Texas, and Ohio, have projected only 10 weeks left before they run out of unemployment insurance money in their coffers to pay people on the state level for unemployment, and they have to go to the feds. So what I'm thinking is if they're running low on money and this bill is out and people are getting the $2,000, that this might like kind of relinquish the pains of those states. And also notice California, Texas, these are really big states and they're opposing political parties, you know, red and blue. So the chances of something at least like this getting passed is really, really high, especially when they're afraid of, well, having to continually pay out of their own coffers for unemployment. And another thing that's really telling about this is it would be for 6 months minimum if it passes all the way to 12 months. So if the economy is supposed to come back super, super quick, well, then why is it 12 months after another month or two before it gets passed? I think there might be a little something to that. And the biggest thing that I find interesting to this which I don't see anyone else connecting the dots on, is employment has to be above 60%. And true unemployment right now is at 18% per Forbes. Now, I don't know which metric they might be using unemployment with. There's a couple games with it. But if we're all on the same track of what unemployment really is, you need to realize that the Great Depression unemployment rate was 24.9%. This would require a 40% unemployment rate in order for this to go through, which is really intense. It makes me wonder about the stock rally that happened last week. Like, is it gonna just, like, wait a minute. Or, second option, they're making this stimulus bill so nice, so sweet, so alluring, to the point to where they also understand that it won't really be activated. It would essentially be like the political version of like a carny game where you try to knock over the bottles, but you never really can. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you $2,000 a month and everything if employment, drops below 60. But like, will it? Like consistently? And what if it goes up and then it drops down? How long consecutively does it have to be? Is it week by week? Because that's when the weekly unemployment rates come out? Maybe. And another thing with this one is it will likely cost $400 billion a month if this is enacted. Meaning, if we go at just the minimum amount of time, 6 months of this being enacted, it will cost $2.4 trillion. But to be fair, I think with this $2,000 a month going to people, it's not going to be one of those stimulus checks that essentially gets pushed under the mattress. I think people will actually use this money, and the money, all of it essentially, will probably get pumped right back into the economy. Another big part about this that makes maybe adding it to the deficit not so terrible is, yes, because it's getting pumped back into the economy, it's going back to those businesses who all need their loans as well to stay operating. Okay, maybe it all goes back in, everything like that. You could argue that the ROI on this stimulus check is actually quite high and keeps essential infrastructure and companies afloat. So if that is in fact the case, then you know what? Let's get stimulated. And again, I'm posting this stuff all the time, almost every day now. So if you'd like to subscribe to this, that would be great. And please participate in the comments section. I read all of your comments. I answer whenever I'm able to give you any value whatsoever.